always love it. We come up live.
Click, click, click.
Well, we are live. Welcome, everybody. Hello, everybody in Instagram, Facebook.
Two different Facebooks.
Two different
hopefully.
Facebooks, yes.
Sometimes we mess up.
Sometimes we do. Sometimes I do mess up. It is great to see everybody that's starting to come on. I'm Dean Nixon. This is Kate Simmons,
Hello.
Turning Leaf Wellness Center.
And what day is it today?
It is Monday Night Live. And so tonight we are excited to be with you again on this wonderful Monday night. It is starting to warm up here in St. George. I remember a few months back, we were like in sunny St. George, and it wasn't. It was storming all the time.
We had a long spring.
And the rain was amazing. So it's kept everything doing pretty good. So enough of the weather.
But now we're baking in the oven.
It is. It is warming up. So it is good. We're excited to get going tonight on tonight's topic. And one of the things that we really felt compelled to talk about today was really talking about boundaries. And then also in adding into that, addition to that, is boundaries and tough decisions.
Yeah. Boundaries in difficult times.
Boundaries in difficult times and with tough decisions. I have a tickle in my throat today, so I'm going to be
Hydrating. Just stay hydrated.
There you go.
So, because you know how I roll, we like to keep it pretty transparent around these parts. And I've been going through a pretty hard thing the last week.
Yeah, last week it was outing me with the transparency.
Right. I threw you straight under the bus.
You did.
Even though I didn't feel like it was a throw me under the bus. I was like high-fiving you hardcore. Last week we talked about putting your needs first. Right? And
standing up for
yourself.
Right.
And so I was giving you a big pat on the back, but Dean thought I was outing him.
It was so funny. Everybody will have to go back and watch last week's video, and then you're going to have to comment there because Kate is at the beginning. She's like, "Hey, can I be totally transparent here?" I'm like, "Sure."
Go for it, Kate.
Be transparent about yourself. Go for it. And then she's transparent about my life, which was fine. I was fine with it. But
I thought we were on that level.
We are on that level. I just didn't think it was going there.
Yeah, you just didn't know. I blindsided you.
It was funny. So tonight you're...
Transparency about me.
All right.
I'm going to let Dean be transparent about him, and I'll be transparent about me.
All right.
But, so boundaries in difficult times, and then going through difficult things, the day after the 4th of July, so July 5th, my siblings and I checked my dad into the emergency room here in St. George. He's every year kind of gets pneumonia, which then gets really bad. And so we just thought it was kind of pretty routine, but it's gotten pretty worse. We've been in ICU for over a week now. And so my siblings and I are starting to have to make some pretty difficult decisions as far as what directions to go with my dad. And I'm the oldest in my family. I do have an older half sister, but she lives out of state. She lives in Washington State. Natalie, if you're watching this, I don't even know if we've called you, so my bad, girl, but we'll call you tonight.
Wow.
I know. Yeah. Life is hard. It gets hard, and you just make it through. So being the oldest, I feel a lot of pressure for that, for all the caregiving and the decision making and making sure that all the ducks are in a row just in case we lose him. And this is the last few days that we get with him. So so the other thing that's really hard on this one for me is for a couple years, my sister and I have been the full caretakers for my dad. And something I learned through my process here at TurningLeaf Wellness Center is how we tend to sometimes dehumanize people. It makes it kind of easier to check out and not, we look at them as objects instead of people. And that's where we kind of go down and downward spirals of things. So for a while, he's been a job, he's been a chore, and he hasn't been my dad. So now I'm getting my dad back, but at the very end, and it's really difficult. And I'm having a difficult time holding on to all the things that I'm trying to create. As you guys know, if you've been following what we've been doing for the last year, as well as the last month that I've been doing the transformation process that we just barely started here at Turning Leaf with coaching and the hyperbaric and getting my meal plans and exercise and stuff. And definitely one of my kind of negative, more destructive coping skills is it's hard for me to stay my line. It's really, some of my maladaptive coping skills are not great for my body and my soul. So So that's kind of where we're at today going with this topic. Just moving forward, that's kind of like the background coming into like, oh, why did they think of this topic? That's why.
That's why. That's why.
So I've been having a little bit of a tricky time getting my exercises in, not drinking my body weight in Dr. Pepper or other beverages, but I've actually been doing really good about the other beverages. And getting enough sleep and all just those kind of little take care of myself things. So there we go.
There you
Pitched,
go.
Dean.
That was very, very transparent, and I know your sister will.
Thank you, Patrick. That's really so sweet of you.
Yes, thank you, Patrick.
Really
We've got
appreciate
people
it.
commenting.
Yeah. Just saying sorry about your dad.
Yes, and Parrish, and thank you, everybody. And I know they love you, and it's I appreciate the transparency. I'm sure your sister gets it.
Yeah,
I'm sure she gets
she loves
it.
me.
So the challenge, and that's where I wanted to really go with tonight, is a lot of times in follow-up, let me back up, sorry. In follow-up of last week's conversation, we're standing up for ourselves. Sometimes standing up for ourselves also means that we have to be able to hold boundaries with ourselves and hold boundaries while we're making tough decisions. And it's hard.
It's so hard. Like the holding the boundaries with yourself is so tricky because like on one end, we're our own worst enemy in our head and we can talk ourselves in and out of anything just about, right? Like I play that game almost every morning. Do I keep hitting snooze? Should I just get my workout done in the evening after work, which never happens.
Right.
Like I never have enough energy to get that done. Like if it doesn't happen in the morning, it doesn't happen for me anyway. I don't know about you guys. But so we're our own worst enemy up here in our head as far as those boundaries are concerned. But then there's good, healthy boundaries that we need to set in order to be able to take care of ourselves, which can sometimes feel, for me, like I'm letting people down. I'm not doing my share. I'm not, all those kind of negative self-talk that happens.
And that's the boundary piece. That's the piece that's so important is during these periods of time, especially in a crisis. So thank you for letting us use this as a example or a muse that we can kind of talk through. But during these periods of times, it's really easy for us to get lost in the process, and we can sometimes put ourselves in a position where we're not holding those boundaries firmly with ourselves. And we can carry a lot of guilt. We can carry a lot of shame. We can use a high dose of shoulds. Yeah. And we can really just should very, very heavy on I should this, I should that. Yeah. And those are tough things for us to do in those situations where we have to hold the boundaries and we have to say, I still have to move myself forward. I have to stay on my path. I have to take care of me. It is important to be of service. It is important to be engaged in the process of taking care of your father and to be able to be there for him. But at the same turn of the coin, what would he truly want from you is he would want you to stay your course and he would want you to stand that course. So that's where we have to really be careful with the shoulds and the what ifs, and we have to set boundaries with those thoughts. Say you're not welcome here, and that way to move past that is by refocusing on what is my purpose, what am I creating, what is it that my father would want for me, and I have to stay true to that purpose and true to that cause. That doesn't mean we just give everybody the bird and walk away and say, I don't have to do anything. I'm doing me. I'm just going to take care of myself. That's not even remotely where we're going with this. It's a matter of going, when the snooze button comes on, it's a matter of getting up. It's a matter of going. The other part is that oftentimes during these periods of times we hit fatigue levels. I'm sure you've been very tired and drained. It's because these are emotionally draining times. And that's why it's important for us to have those boundaries with ourselves, because we're already going to be emotionally drained from what we're going through, but then we become more emotionally drained with the guilt and shame that we can load ourselves up with. That's where we need to put the boundaries, is with those things. And that way it creates an emotional capacity to take care of my father or loved one and take care of myself at the same time. But if I'm running with the shoulds and the coulds and the guilts and the shames, my emotional capacity gets drained so much I'm not getting out of bed. I'm not getting out of bed. I'm gonna have to do all the other things to compensate and to cope, and that's where we start to deteriorate. So that's why it's important to hold your boundaries, and especially when it comes to taking care of you and staying the course.
Mm-hmm. So I want to kind of jump back to a little piece that you mentioned just a minute ago, and that's staying true to the things that you're trying to create and the path that you're on and you're trying to live. So basically that's the why, right? Like creating a really rock solid why foundation, which I think is what helps us to be able to do that, right? That can be a grounding tool that we can just hang on to that why as life, because that's life, like, and death, which is kind of a little bit what we're talking about right now, is a huge part of life.
Right.
I love that saying, like the two sure things about life are death and taxes, right? Like that's the only thing that's like a for sure.
True. Very true. Yeah.
But even all the other things in life that come and blow our path and can attempt to sway us from what it is that we are trying to live and to create. Like you said, I love how you said not at the expense of our loved ones and the things that we are stewards over, right? Like you need to be of service and taking care of our fellow men and all of those things, but not at the expense of us as well.
Right.
And finding that balance. So what is like a really cool way over the years, maybe you've seen that working with so many people in coaching that really helps people develop a pretty solid why?
Well, the why is going to be really important for us to become aware of.
And maybe it's also a what. I'm so sorry to interrupt. You know what I mean?
Please.
Like what I want to create and why I want to create it.
What I want to create and why I want to create it. A lot of it has to do with the motivation that we have. And a lot of times people will set a course and they'll be like, hey, I want this and this is why I want to have it. The main thing to create a very solid, healthy why is to understand two things. Is it productive or is it reaction based?
Oh, okay.
Right? So, and we talked a little bit about this at the beginning of our series of January when we were talking about our intentions. Is my why is going to be, is it productive? Is it healthy? Is it moving me forward? And as I look at, is it productive? Is it in alignment with my value system, with who I really am? And so if I'm sitting back and obviously for my occupation, becoming a billionaire is not a part of my moral compass. It's just never been there for me. And so as a consequence of that, if I'm trying to go, I've got to become money driven, that's out of alignment with my core. And so I'm never going to really have that as a solid why. It'll always be one of those things that I can walk away from very easily.
Do we think that that's maybe like our fantasy whys? Like these kind of larger than life, big dreamy ones that aren't really real?
Well, that's the reactionary part. Because the reactionary part comes when we're looking for relief from something. So we think oftentimes we get into money issues, or we think that we're struggling financially, and we think, well, if I could just go out and make a big thing in this multi-level marketing, that's going to solve my problem. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to get this huge downline, I'm going to and for some people that may work very, very well. But if I'm using that as a reaction, if I'm creating that downline out of a reaction because I've got to solve these big financial problems by creating that, then that's not going to work. But if I think to myself, hey, my why, my purpose in life is I want to create an enormous amount of wealth for myself and my family, etc. Then when I go to create a downline, it's not a reactionary thing. Then when I go to do does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's just one of those situations where we've got to look at our why. So it's the same situation here is when I'm looking at taking care of myself. Why am I looking at taking care of myself? For myself, this is my transparency. For me, getting to the gym every day is a critical component of who I am. It is a lifestyle piece, and for two reasons. It doesn't have anything to do with how I look physically. It has to do with, number one, it relieves the stress that I can carry and pick up throughout the day in helping people, and number two is it gives me the physical capacity to continue to do what I do, which those two purposes allow me to create a lifestyle and a value system that I won't let much get in the way of taking care of myself physically. Via last week and power yoga conversation, is I've got to take care of me so I have the capacity to take care of you. And that's where then it can build into a lifestyle. Then it's not a default. Then it's not like, should I go to the movies or should I go to the gym? Should I eat the stack of pancakes or should I go to the gym? Should I sleep in another hour or go to the gym? It's not about that. I wake up, it's like I got to go to the gym, get out of bed, because I need to have the stress, the physical capacity. I've got to be able to deal with it. So it becomes a lifestyle. So during this period of time that you're going through, it's important to say, the reason I'm doing my transformation, the reason I'm doing my work is so I have the capacity to emotionally be there to take care of my dad, to be emotionally capable of being the support for my family. And that's why I've got to stay the course and stay on task.
Instead of looking at it like there's that hour out of my life that I should be sitting at the hospital, that I should be taking care of this other thing that needs to get done.
Yeah. Exactly. And that helps us to not have a reactionary why. So we decide what we want, and then we decide why we want it. And if it's a reactionary, it's like, well, I want it because I don't want to be fat, or I don't want to be, all the other reasons.
I need to attract a companion.
Right. Or I've got to be sexy for other people. These are all reactionary reasons. But if I'm staying the course because I need the capacity to live longer, I need the capacity to emotionally get through the things, I need the physical capacity to support that, all of those things. And you can use this not only in the physical transformation, but in a financial transformation, in a mental transformation, like education. A lot of times I see people get into college and they're like, I'm going to do this. And then they hit the eject button because it's like, and then but really it's going, no, I need to complete my education because this is why I need to do my classes. I need to. So it is really about understanding, is this a reaction? Am I doing it in a reactive way, or am I making those decisions, or am I doing them because they're productive and healthy for me?
And I feel like if you can hone in on the productive and healthy instead of reactionary, then that's also going to be able to help you better hold your boundaries with yourself and with others.
Absolutely. Because the boundary themselves is the agreement that we make with ourselves. So the boundary that I create has to be an agreement, and that's one of the things we talk a lot about in the books. The key that we wrote, and the 4 Steps to Confidence, and the value-based parenting books, all these books we talk about boundaries, and boundaries are the agreements that we make through open communication, and it helps us to say, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Here's the boundary, and here's the response if I don't follow through, or if you don't follow through, etc.
I'm just sitting here thinking about also too, like in my life, I know I've made some like whys, right? What I want to do and why, based on false belief systems that I've had for my whole life, right? Like something that was maybe happened and instilled to me when I was like 4, and I just like made this belief system that this is what life should look like, right? Like this is what I want, this is what it should look like. And I think even more than just like kind of the ones that I don't know the word I'm trying to look for, but I think those ones are a little bit more difficult to like really dig in and say, is this really what I want? Like we think it's our why. Like with all of our heart and mind, we really think it's our why. But if you start to sort it out and like strip away maybe some of the fear, maybe it was placed in there because of something that we're afraid of, right? And then we move forward towards this North Star that isn't really our true why. And
it's something that may have been given to us. And this is a really good piece, and I love that you're tapping into this. And what I want to do is, because of the sake of time, is maybe two-part this conversation and jump into next week. And really that piece is I know it goes so quick.
Already.
But it's all about, is this belief system about my why, or why I'm creating the lifestyle, is this belief system mine, or is it something that somebody gave me, or is it something that I created out of fear, etc.? And I think that would be a great two-parter, and we can two-part this and really get back to it next week.
Oh, you're gonna have to watch next week.
Yes. Which, by the way, into doing that, hello everybody, and again, thank you for tuning in and saying hello. We actually, for those of you down here in Washington County, we have 2 tickets. I'm stoked.
Yeah.
So we have
Summer Slam.
the Summer Slam team. This is a program that helps the youth in our community, and it's amazing. And the team that goes out and really supports these kids, and again, we don't have a ton of time to explain it, and maybe next time you can explain a little better for me. But these guys put on a kind of a talent show, and this year they're going to be doing it at the Washington County Fair, and we have 2 tickets that they've given us to give away.
Cool.
Yeah, so we have 2 tickets that we're going to be giving away. So the first 2 people that comment in the comments how are we going to do this, because we got 3 venues. Well, the first person to contact us, and we'll look at our feeds and see where it came in, we'll be giving these tickets out to you. So if you would like these tickets at $10, it's $5 for a youth and $10 for adults. So it's a $20 for those of you that want to go and support these guys. These are free tickets, and then it gives you the opportunity to donate and give to others. So for those of you down here in Washington County tuning in, the rest of you all over the U.S., Michigan, Chicago areas, and all the others, Salt Lake. We love you.
You just probably aren't going to come to the Slam, right?
But if you're going to be here, or maybe this is a reason to come visit us.
Come to St. George.
Come go to this during the Washington County Fair out here. So please comment, and we will make sure that we get these tickets to you and let you.
Maybe comment, I want the tickets.
Yes, I want the tickets.
Love it.
Thank
you.
Really
quick before we go, because Kayla was like, is there a reason you both have 1 black nail? So I will tell you really quickly, because there's not. Dean slammed his finger in a door.
Yeah.
And I went to a ladies' night out. It was a local community thing with our women's group on Wednesday. We went and socialized with all the women in our community, and they had
It's purple.
It's purple. Mine's purple. Well, yours is purple too. Kind of.
Mine's black.
But they had one of those nail booths, and I tried a new polish on it. So it's crushing it. It's been on there for like almost a week now.
Yeah, mine's been about
So there's no
3
real
weeks.
reason. It's just coincidental.
Until my nail falls off. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. You guys are amazing. Thank you for your comments.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing. Please like and share the videos, comments. We love your feedback.
Part 2 next week.
Part 2. We are overtime.
Bye.
Goodbye. I'll go.
I'm going here.
You're going down there. I'm going to go up here.
Okay. I just started pushing buttons.
I think I got this one. Oh, no.